While I was doing the research for my shipping video between Jiaoqiu and мо子, I fell deep into the Jiaoqiu lore, and I have yet to crawl myself back out of it. In fact, I've had a thought to just put everything I knew about Jiaoqiu into the shipping video, but I thought better of it because I think he deserves an entire video. And now I can spend all the time in this one just telling you all of the reasons why you should absolutely love this pink-haired fox. Now, I think for him, we definitely have to start from the beginning, specifically at the time when our cunning fox with sly eyes was merely just a young kid, striving to establish a reputation for himself. For, you see, well, in Jiaoqiu's case, you really can't see, but... Why did I make that joke? Oh my god. Jiaoqiu wasn't just any old healer in these parts, but in fact a descendant of a very prestigious alchemy commissions family. He himself trained under the school of Ranzhi, a discipline that adopted a distinctive approach to healing, guided by the belief that food was medicine. From quite early in his career, Jiaoqiu had a knack for creating medicines, specifically with his 9-grid cauldron, which rose to fame during his military expedition. But we'll get to that in a bit. The Fox Boy decided to take a different path from his forefathers, and instead of joining the Alchemy Commission once his training was complete, he chose to set off to the battlefield to offer his skills where they were needed the most, because Jiaoqiu wanted to help the masses, rather than just a select few. Among the 7 flagships of the Shanzhou Alliance, the Yaoqing is most renowned for its military excellence. They consistently lead the Shanzhou in combat missions with its elite verdant knights, earning the respect and admiration across the alliance. As such, the Yaoqing frequently find themselves in the worst of battlefields, and from this, Jiaoqiu would enter the Third Abundance War. So for those of you who don't know anything about the Abundance Wars, in essence they are intense conflicts between the Shanzhou Alliance and the denizens of abundance that have led to massive and devastating losses. Specifically the Third Abundance War, which ended up with significant damage to the Fanghu and a loss of life that numbered in the hundreds of thousands for the Shanzhou. Shaoqiu, with his talent in making medicines, became a well-known healer during that time, assigned personally to the former general of the Yaoqing, Yue. However, despite everything he had done for the soldiers of the Shanzhou, Shaoqiu became increasingly troubled. On one of his nightly visits with the former arbiter general, Jiaoqiu expressed his growing disillusionment of how many of his patients would be cured by his hands only to die on the battlefield they were returned to. The emotional toll weighed heavily on him, and the constant cycle of hope and loss left him questioning the true impact of his healing and the fragility of life. Despite this, his 9-grid cauldron hot pot, which we talked about earlier, became highly sought after and earned the trust of the soldiers. This trust was a source of solace to him, but it couldn't stop his soul from being broken again and again by the countless lives lost in the war. His heart struggled to bear the grief of a battleground filled with so much death, and that heartbreak led him to leave his profession after the war. In the year 8072, at the very end of the Third Abundance War, the Shanzhou were nearly defeated by the denizens of the Abundance. To avoid losing, an SOS signal was sent from the front line on the Fanghu to the Rainbow Arbiter, despite its danger. Using the Rainbow Arbiter was akin to a weapon of mass destruction, but it was the only way the Shanzhou could win this war. They had ignored the predictions from Fu Xuan, putting themselves at risk of being overrun by the Abundance's forces, and so this was their last resort. The Eon of the Hunt unleashed his star-shattering Lux Arrow, destroying everything in its path. Although the Shanzhou won that day, the victory came with heavy losses. Despite the order to retreat, not everyone could escape in time. Some had to stay behind to prevent the Abundance from escaping, resulting in the Shanzhou losing thousands to their own Eon. As the glow of the Lux Arrow began to descend from the sky, a girl was seen, trying to rescue those who had not yet retreated. Nimble on her feet, she rushed in and out of danger, desperately trying to save as many as she could. Hearing of this, Jiaoqiu rushed out just as the Lux Arrow slammed into the front line. He saved the girl, but blacked out from the attack. Thankfully, both he and the girl survived, but an overwhelming cold spread within him, leaving him chilled from the inside out. Even as he set up his 9-grid hot pot, his usual spices did nothing for him. He added more and more until his bag was empty, but he could only feel the pain on his tongue, his senses dulled by the attack. The girl, a disciple of Yueyu, went on to become the Arbiter General, and the echo of an order and promise lingered in his ear. When Jiaoqiu returned from the war, he retired to the lake where he once lived. Jaded and heartbroken, he opened an eatery where his taste for bland food flipped to the spicy dishes he now served. His old master visited him there, telling him about the young Foxian girl he had rescued and the illness only he could help soothe. He still remembered her promises on the battlefield, even though he was reluctant to become a doctor once more. Despite his hesitation, he decided to give the girl a chance, if only to find a purpose in his life while living out his promises to her. Most of the rest of his life is seen through our adventures with him during the 2.5 story Finest Duel Under the Pristine Blue. We learn that he is both Fei Xiao's healer and strategist, with 𝑧𝒐𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍 commenting that plotting and scheming was his job in their trio. We also learn that he eventually becomes neighbors with Su Shang's mother, hosting the girl whenever she would run away from her sword lessons, making her delicious food and trying to teach her how to read and write his name, though ultimately failing. We see Jiaoqiu suffer more injuries during his fight with Hu Lei, far worse than what his in-game picture suggests. The most long-lasting of his injuries seems to be his blindness. We see Fei Xiao and 𝑚ozhi appear at his side, vowing to find a way to cure it and bring revenge to those who have hurt him. How Jiaoqiu's journey continues, or if there is more to his story, remains to be seen, as the game is still quite young and there is still so much more to come. Until then, this is the end of the video. If I made any mistakes or need to clarify anything, I'll be making a part 2 as we get more information on this perfect pink-haired fox. Or you can check the descriptions or comments below to see if there's any corrections that needs to be made. If you enjoyed this, why don't you have a look at my shipping video featuring him and 𝑚ozhi, where you can find more information about his relationship with the crow-feathered weirdo. And I still can't say that with a straight face. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!